Welcome to Beauty in the Breakup podcast. I am Julie Tootin, and I invite you to the possibility of moving beyond the upset and creating your lighter and brighter future. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beauty in the Breakup podcast. This episode is something that I am very excited to share. 5 hot tips to melt anger. There's an awful lot of anger around relationships and breakups, and I would like to see that change. I know it's possible to go through a transition in being together, being separated, divorce, what have you, without using anger to create that separation. But I know that that is very rare. And it's one of the reasons that I wrote my book, Beauty in the Breakup, to share some of the tools that I use to create our separation with kindness and caring. So, anger, rage, fury, and hate, these are some of the most toxic energies in the world. It's toxic to our bodies, it's toxic to our relationships, and it's toxic to the planet. So I would really like to see this change. And if I can share something that would allow even one person to let go of anger, I know that I'm creating some change in the world. One of the difficulties in diffusing anger is assuming that it's just one thing or it's always the same thing. But anger is actually a number of different energies all lumped together. So in this episode, I'd like to shine some light on anger and see if we can tease apart some of the facets that keep it from being so unshakable to so many people. Anger is multifaceted, and when you learn to apply these 5 hot tips that I am about to share with you, you can melt it, you can diffuse it in mere moments. It is actually possible. It's not difficult. It just takes knowing the tools exist and using them when you're in the situation. So, number 1, sometimes there's this energy of anger that comes up when we are aware of a lie that's being told, whether we're telling ourselves or somebody else is saying it. Sometimes there's this like anger feeling that comes up that gets triggered, and it's an awareness of a lie. And when you have this occurring, you can ask, is this a lie? Am I aware of a lie? Number 1, just ask the question, am I aware of a lie? And what is the lie, spoken or unspoken? Because sometimes it's the things that people aren't saying that are the lie, and we're aware of that as well. So simply by asking the question and acknowledging that you're aware of a lie will take off a lot of the pressure and a lot of the steam that fuels that angry feeling. And then by asking what is true and what is a lie, spoken or unspoken, eventually awarenesses will come to you. You just simply need to ask the question and allow it to be there and just be present and see what shows up. So that is number 1. Number 2, control. Many people use anger to control. How many of you have experienced this? When you start becoming happy, start choosing something that lights you up. Other people who want to control, who want to keep you from moving too far away from them, they may start shouting or, creating some sort of a problem for you to contract again and not be everything that you're starting to become or choosing what you're choosing. And one example I have for this is my stepfather, actually. He used to yell a lot. And so when somebody is yelling in anger and you get that it's them just trying to control a situation, rather than fighting against it, because that doesn't work, it's like you put up your barriers and you push against theirs, and it just fuels their fire, so to speak. So rather than doing that, just simply pushing your barriers down, like moving away the window or the door and allowing it to be a screen and allowing their energy to just move through you, allowing the shouting or the energy to just move through you like wind going through a screen door. All of a sudden, probably in mere minutes, the person will lose their steam and they'll quiet down. It's actually amazing. I have used it before and I was shocked. So try that the next time somebody is trying to control you with anger. Just lower your barriers, be present, and let the energy move through you. Don't hold on to it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to resist it. Just observe and experience that energy just moving through you. Okay, number 3, who does this belong to? This brings up one of the ideas that we are far more sensitive and aware than we've ever given ourselves credit for. How many of you can tap into the energy of your partner or one of your parents, whether they're next door in the same room or even across the country from you, and you can know if they're happy, if they're sad, like what's going on in their world? Try it. You might surprise yourself. It's quite amazing how aware we are. We're like this big satellite dish, and we can pick up all these channels. And the thing that we don't necessarily notice is that all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions that we think are ours, most of them we are picking up from other people. So when we ask this question, who does this belong to? Especially if you're triggered and you're angry, and it's not number 1 and it's not number 2, who does this belong to? Is this someone else's that you've misidentified as yours? So you can ask yourself, is this mine, someone else's, or something else? And simply by taking a couple of seconds and asking that question, if it's not yours, it will dissipate. And you'll be like, oh, wow, it's not even mine. So try that one out. And this applies to so many other things, not just anger, but try it out. Okay, tip number 4, distractor implant. Distractor implants are things that sit on top of other awareness that distract you from going beneath it. And they're designed to keep your attention there so that you never actually get to what is true for you. There's so many distractor implants. Anger, rage, fury, and hate are just one set of them. And I will probably be going into some of the other ones later on in the podcast. But for a distractor implant, if you are triggered or having this like anger thing come up And it's not a lie. It's not someone trying to control you, and it's not someone else's. You can ask, is this a distractor implant? And if so, what's underneath it? And I'll give an example that's kind of interesting, because sometimes the anger is displaced and we think we're angry at someone else when we're really angry at ourselves. And so if we're continually just putting this thing out that, oh, I'm angry at that person, it's never going to go away, because that's not actually what's true. So years and years ago, I was visiting my dad in Florida, and we went shopping, and we were just kind of window shopping, and I saw this hot pink suede jacket. And I was like, oh my God, I love that so much. It was just so fun and bright and happy. And that Christmas, he sent it to me as a gift. And I was like, oh my God, I just love it so much. And soon after that, I had a girlfriend come over, and she was like totally black and beige girl. She was not about color. And for some reason, I valued her opinion. And she looked at that jacket and she was just like, oh my God, that's so tacky. And it was like a balloon that had been popped and all the air went out. And I was like, oh my God. And she like totally poisoned my joy of this hot pink suede jacket. And so I gave it away. And then a couple of years after that, I was like, why did I give that away? I love hot pink and it looks great on me. And then I started thinking about how I was angry at her for telling me her opinion. And it started festering. And then I realized, wait a second, that is not making this thing go away. So I asked, like, who am I really angry at? What is the energy underneath this? And I was like, whoa, I was angry at myself for allowing her point of view to poison my joy. How many of you have let somebody else's stupid comments, points of view, observations, maybe they didn't even mean to, but allow it to poison your joy, to poison your playfulness and fun around something that you like, that had nothing to do with them necessarily. And so when we do that, then we lock the anger in, and we twist it and make it that we're angry at the other person, but that doesn't allow it to go away. So untwisting, looking underneath that blame, that distractor, and seeing what's really true allows you to go, oh, okay, interesting. All right, I'm not going to do that again. So then you have choice again. So you're looking for each one of these tools melts the intensity and dissipates the energy so that you have freedom again and space, and where you're not contracted, where you're not stuck with this energy that won't go away. And hot tip number 5, potency. Now, this is really interesting. A lot of us have had the energy of potency and have thought that it was anger, because maybe when you were younger and you were like, no, or something like that, somebody said, oh, stop being angry. And so you thought, you got molded into believing that your potency was actually anger, but it's not. Potency is an energy very similar to anger that actually is more creative and allows something to change from transpiring, or just the energy that it takes to change something. So like maybe you see a child running out into the street and you say, stop. And it sounds angry, but it's really the energy of potency that gets them to become very present with the situation and what they are doing and what they are choosing, and to stop something harmful from happening. So what if potency wasn't anger, and every place that you are suppressing that potency because you think it's anger, that doesn't allow you to be the change agent in the world that you've come here to be? Let's just let all of that go and allow your potency to come up when it's required. We need our potency. You know, my grandmother used to say, women are like tea bags. When you put them in hot water, you see how potent they are. So when we get into these emergency situations, sometimes it is required to have this potency, but it also comes with a sense of relaxation and peace and space and knowing that you're handling a situation. It is not a contractive, twisted, controlling, lying kind of energy. It's totally different. It's like this big blast that creates something. And what if we can't control that? And what if it's not meant to be? So when you are triggered, maybe you're in traffic and all of a sudden you start feeling angry, you can ask yourself, okay, which of these 5 tips am I aware of here? And you might be, oh, who does this belong to? Huh, how many other people are frustrated? When you're like, okay, I can just wait an extra 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is, turn on some music and enjoy yourself. What if you didn't have to add to the anger and frustration that people around you might be experiencing? What if you choosing something different would create a different space in the world where maybe other people would start picking up on that? You create a ripple effect of ease and joy and glory rather than anger, rage, and hate. What would it create on the planet if we were to be that source? So I invite you to write these down.